Good morning, everyone. This is Nicole Harvick. I am your host for the Change Book podcast. And I have to tell you, I love coming to you on Mondays because I get to interview the most amazing co-authors. And we have a special one today, and I can't wait for you to meet him. Now, I do want to tell you, I'm a little dark today. I'm not at home. I am at my brother's house in Arizona. The sun is just coming up. So I'm a little bit in the dark, but that's nothing new. But anyway, I want to introduce you to one of our amazing co-authors, Steve Warmer.
Good
Welcome,
morning.
Steve.
Good
How
morning.
are you? How are
Good
you today?
morning. Nicole, good morning.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
you are so welcome. And I am so excited to interview you. I saw your bio, it's absolutely amazing. But the first question I always ask my guests, because I love to hear their answers, is how did you pick the Change book?
I was approached several weeks ago and I was like, this seems too good to be true. And I did my research, and Jim Lutz and Jim Britt, very reputable, next level coaches and mastermind trainers and all the things I don't even know that go to their title. These incredible leaders have published a series of books called The Change, like you said. And then you throw in the fact that Les Brown has done the forward, and it just seemed like an incredible opportunity of a lifetime that I could not say no to. I had to find a way to make this work.
Yeah, and that's the same with me like I was we were talking earlier. It's just I heard it. I heard you need to do this. You need to do this, and probably that one of the best, other than my kids, the best thing I've ever done. So I'm really excited to have you aboard. Can you tell us a little bit about your chapter?
Oh, thank you for asking. My chapter is called Bridging the Gap, Moving from Trials to Breakthroughs. And that's the name of the title.
Okay, and I know you are a John Maxwell certified coach. Is
I
that
did that.
correct?
I made that decision back in May, and that's been a great network for me as well. But yes, that is correct.
Now, some of the things that I see that you talk about, and this is right up my alley, is you talk about unforgiveness, bitterness, and anxiety. And I think those are some of the things that, if I can say, plague society today, because I work very, very closely. Forgiveness for me is the first thing you need when you start your healing journey. So tell us your take on unforgiveness and how forgiveness can just combat so many things when you utilize it.
Well, I've had probably like a lot of folks listening, I've had a lot of experience when applying forgiveness. Been put in some pretty intense situations where I've had to wrestle with God Himself, and then just the process of getting to a healthy place of forgiveness. And a lot of the tools that I have, Nicole, come from a nonprofit that my wife and I lead. It's called Hurt to Hope. And we teach people the process of how to forgive, even in the most challenging situations. So that's a lot of where that comes from. But you're right. There is no healing without forgiveness for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I first started my journey with forgiveness is during a divorce, and I was using every modality I had ever learned, but I was lacking forgiveness. So that was like the key component that turned my life around. But when I started talking about it and how important it was, I had a lot of resistance, and a lot of the resistance were with women, maybe from a cheating scenario or being
Mhm.
physically, mentally abused. And what I had to kind of concentrate on was the fact that forgiveness is for no one but you. So, what do you think about that?
It's certainly a challenge, and I think gratitude plays a key component in all this, because what I've learned is, even in the most extreme situations, and you never want to minimize somebody else's situation because it is intense and it is hard, but that you can always find at least one thing to be grateful for. I remember that we were helping a young man that had been sexually abused, emotionally abused by his biological father to the point where he had contracted a disease from his own biological father, and his father had since passed away, and he was still struggling to forgive his father 8, 10 years later. However, he was able to eventually get to a point where, you know what, I am grateful that he gave me life. And you know what? I'm grateful that he gave me my brown eyes. So there is always something, but you have to really fight to find the gratitude.
Right, exactly, exactly. What I've noticed is once the forgiveness process starts, even just a little, removing some of that anger and hate, I always tell people that it's for you. Forgiveness is very selfish because it's literally just for you. You don't have to talk to that other person. You do not have to ever see them again. You certainly are not condoning what they did. And you're right, the gratitude is a huge step. And just looking and reflecting on your life, and maybe just the fact that you made it through either a relationship or a scenario or something that happened to you. And so I love the fact that you bring gratitude into that, because that's something I wake up with. And I know for myself that sometimes I wake up so grateful that I'm like, I wish everybody could wake up like that. Just
Mm.
the fact that we're breathing and we're alive is absolutely, an amazing step towards our healing. What do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I try to wake up first thing in the morning. I'm at that age, not to give too much information, but I'm at that age where the bathroom's a priority first thing in the morning, right? But before that, I'm like, thank you for another day. Today wasn't promised. Thank you that the sun is out this morning. Thank you that I'm getting out of bed. It just changes everything. And some days are better than others, as far as, we're not perfect with that. But I do want to go back a half a step if I could, because you said something really that caught my attention. Forgiveness is
Sure.
it's an internal thing, right? And if you have the Lord in your life, certainly you understand that He plays a huge piece in helping you to forgive. But it is different than reconciliation or trust. I think that's misunderstood sometimes. It'll always take two to reconcile. And sometimes, depending on the situation, if there was abuse, if there was neglect, if there was children involved, you would never put them back in that situation. So certainly trust wouldn't be applicable to forgiveness, but we are commanded and have to forgive, not only because it's commanded to us, but because it's freeing. I don't know. I'm sure you've heard the saying, unforgiveness is like taking a spoonful of poison every day and expecting the other person to die. Well, obviously that doesn't work.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in my case, I did a lot of forgiveness with my ex-husband, and I just came to terms with it internally and I let it go. I didn't want to carry a burden that had been placed on me by another person. I was not willing to carry his bitterness around with me in my lifetime. So I believe, it's so freeing. It's absolutely so freeing.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. And then, two more things that I jotted down, some things to talk about. You talk about bitterness. Where does that play in to your coaching?
Yeah, I think bitterness holds us back. And of course, there's a close correlation between unforgiveness and bitterness, right? They're kind of cousins, if you will. But I believe there's blessings
Right.
that we have to position ourselves to receive. But if we're holding on to resentment and bitterness towards someone else, then it's hindering that ability to receive what's next for us. It's holding us back. That probably doesn't surprise us, right? We're our own worst enemies. We hold ourselves back. And I believe bitterness is just one of those many things that tend to hold us back.
You were cutting in and out, so I didn't hear the end of that. You believe bitterness is where you cut out.
I don't know if you heard my whole explanation of bitterness, but the last thing I said was I believe bitterness is one of the many things that holds us back into stepping into the next season of blessings
Oh,
that we have.
yes, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I'm glad you're telling the audience that, because I've gone through bitterness, I've gone through anger, I've gone through hate, and it did nothing for my soul, absolutely nothing, except make my hair fall out and make me scratch my skin until I bled. And
Uh,
it was only when I realized that, these negative feelings that are inside of me, this trauma, if you will, was making me sick. And my component was I needed forgiveness. So it was very, very helpful to me. So wonderful. And so tell us what you like to coach about. What is your favorite? What do you do with this Maxwell training? I know so many people are Maxwell trained, and it seems absolutely amazing.
Yeah, the Maxwell content is wonderful. That was one of the reasons I joined. Is it gives you access to his entire, well, depending on what level you join at, a certain amount of his library that you can teach. I think even as exciting as that is, Nicole, I'm excited about, and the chapter in the book correlates with what I'm about to tell you. I'm about to release a new program that's called Bridging the Gap, moving from trials to breakthroughs, and those are 8 steps to get some momentum going. I don't know about you, but I hate being stuck. I'm that guy on the freeway. If it's bumper to bumper traffic for a long, long time, I want to get off the exit. I want to find an alternate route, and even if it takes me 5 minutes longer, I'll take it because just the sitting still drives me crazy sometimes.
Yeah,
So I think we
absolutely.
all get, and we know that's not going to get us anywhere. You have to put that thing in park. Maybe get something underneath it, get some traction going, re-engage the transmission, and just get some movement going. So that's what I'm trying to do with this program, is get some folks moving across the bridge from getting unstuck and having 8 steps so they can finally have some breakthroughs. And so it'll be a 60-day program, one topic a week. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm about to launch that very, very soon.
Wonderful. And it's a course people can buy and take on their
It,
own,
it,
like
it,
at
it,
their own speed.
it'll be like a master class with me hosting it every week.
Wonderful. And we don't want to disclose everything because we want people to take that course, but give us just an example what might be really poignant in this journey that you're teaching about.
Well, the really good news about that is those 8 steps, obviously not the whole version of it, but those 8 steps are in the Change Volume 22. That is, I don't know the exact date when it's going to be published, but I've been told in the next several days. So that'll be available, and you can see it in there. But I will give your audience just a glimpse. We talk about gratitude, choosing gratitude, the benefits of gratitude, and we really break that down. Why that's a good choice. It is a choice. We have to make it, but when we make it, there's a healthier perspective, and you'll see some momentum going towards your breakthroughs. Your circle matters. The people you have in your life, a coach, a mentor, a best friend, an accountability partner, they all matter. And if you've got people that are, it's okay to have people give us constructive criticism. We all need that, right? But if somebody's just, they don't believe in us, they're just hounding us, they're just critical all the time, they don't belong in the circle. And I know we don't have time to go into all the steps, but I'll tell you another one that's a little outside the box maybe than most steps is we have to learn to process our unprocessed emotions. And we've already alluded to some of it: bitterness, unforgiveness, anxiety, relationship challenges, mental blocks about the next season of life. We have to empty those things and fill our mindset with positive things to be able to go to the next step on the bridge of breakthroughs.
Absolutely. And I agree with that 100%. And, when I work with people, helping them release their emotional trauma, and they've got rid of anger, they've got rid of hate, whatever it is they're carrying around, you can always fill that up with love. You've got that little space there to fill it up with love, happiness, joy. You want to switch those emotions out. And, you know, I found for me, that's really when gratitude kicked in.
That's so good.
That's and when I wake up, I'm grateful for my first breath. Some people have to have this huge thing. It's like, I'm grateful that I'm waking up, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
that first breath that you're aware of in the morning. So to me, not everything has to be really convoluted. It can be just really simple things. But I love what you're doing, and I love how you're helping people along, because that negative mindset is just like cement. It will just keep you right where you are. You can't take a step forward unless you get rid of that. So I can't wait to see where you go with that. That's very, very interesting. So,
Well,
and one
thank
of
you.
the things you were talking about emotions. So describe to the audience what emotional intelligence is.
Well, I think it's being aware of where your emotions are, not letting them control you. I think something that you said that caught my attention is, like, I talked about processing your unprocessed emotions. First of all, there's a recognition that, you know what, the anger is there. That's the first step of any resolution, is acknowledging there is a problem, right? But then what are you going to fill it up with? You mentioned love, right? What love, forgiveness, compassion, empathy, a heart to serve others. I think it's being aware. Emotional intelligence is being aware of your emotions and using them for good versus them controlling you. Which everybody's different, but I can speak for me. My emotions dictated my life for the good part of 40 years. I'm a little older than that now, so I've learned to not, I don't want to say master, I don't know if I like that word, but I've grown in my emotional intelligence, but I had to have some tools in my tool belt to be able to do that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's so many tools to use when you start really searching for what you need, and what it's people don't realize how much they have inside of them to work with, I think, until they find someone like you, and they catch these little statements like, you have to be aware of your emotions. And some people just push them down so far because they don't want to deal with them. And what happens is, when that's buried in your subconscious, you're doing things that you don't even know you're doing, and you don't know why you're doing it because you've suppressed it so deeply.
Yeah, that's so good. And the tools that we get, Nicole, we have to keep using them, right? It's like, I've got a lawnmower in my garage, but if I don't mow the lawn, it keeps growing. And so you can kind of view you can kind of view those negative emotions that way, right? If you don't continue to practice forgiveness, those weeds are going to grow. That unforgiveness is going to grow. That bitterness is going to grow. That ungratitude is going to grow. So we have to keep using the tools for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that was very, very important to me on my journey, and the people that you hang around with. And for me, this was a really interesting dynamic. Is my tribe changed? Some people that I was hanging out with before, the gossip, the putting of other people down, wanting to go have it just, I didn't resonate with that anymore. And I wasn't doing it out of meanness, but it just wasn't who I was anymore. So we're on different vibrational levels. And then you open up with this love, joy, happiness, all of this gratitude, and your tribe changes. Did you notice that as well?
It's still changing. Yeah, absolutely. You have to be really intentional about who that tribe's going to be. And I think it's longer conversation than we have, but I mean, I just believe that part of it is us doing the work and being intentional who that tribe's going to be. And I think also the Lord from above puts the right people in our lives if that's what we're searching for.
Absolutely. The right people with the right message,
Hmm.
and the minute I surrendered in terms of bring me what I need, bring me who I need, my life just totally filled up with the amazing people. And I'll be honest, if a lot of them are in the change book. So I think there's a dynamic there that draws a certain type of people who are so open, receptive, and full of good energy instead of the negativity. You know, we've almost got a divided world today in terms of, you know, there's some really angry people and there's some people that look around like, oh my gosh, it's a new day. I love this.
That's so fascinating. You said that about the world. I was just about to say we definitely need a more positive outlook in it. And I guess the word that comes to my mind is hope. We need people delivering a message of hope in this dark world right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's I don't let myself go into the darkness really ever. I don't let you know, I don't watch news, I don't watch TV, I don't do any of that. I stay in my own high vibration. I don't want it interrupted. It's one of the things that I prize. You know, I've lifted myself up from just being caught up in things. I don't want to be caught up in things. I want to go inside, find my peace, find my spirit, find my soul, and then decide, who am I? What do I need to do? Where do I go? And all the answers are within me. I just love that.
That's wonderful.
You know. Yeah. So who do you like to coach? Who are your coaching clients? Men, women, kids? What, are you open to anyone?
I'm still trying to find my way, to be honest with you, a little bit on that.
Okay.
But I obviously want to help people that are stuck. I want to help people that have put their dreams on the back burner. That maybe life has just happened, finances has been a challenge. You know, just that season of life where they're working, they have kids, and they just can't get to their dreams. But deep down in their heart, there's something that they know they were put here to do, but they can't do it. I want to help them take just a few steps to get them closer to their dream. And I know that's a little vague, but I believe there's a lot of folks that resemble that remark. And I want to be the one to help them, one of their tools, to remind them that hope is still very much alive. A lot of what I've experienced, as if you want to call it success, has happened after the age of 40. And so
Yes.
I can encourage them that life isn't over at 40, 50, 60, whatever age we want to put on it, as long as we keep the dream alive and are willing to put in the hard work that goes with it to help it be achieved.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes I will talk to people and they say they're too old. And it's like, you are never too old. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
always reinvent yourself. And I can't imagine how boring it would be to be that same person that was in my 20s, even though I had a lot more energy, or my 30s. You know, we each period in life, we can morph. And if we just stay stuck, we're not benefiting people, because you never know who's listening, and you never know who might need to hear just that one thing that we say that changes their life.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot where this was, but I just read a story of a 103-year-old woman that ran her first marathon, and I'm like, I've got nothing on her, but how inspiring, right? I mean, right up the
Oh,
alley of what we're talking about. Never too late.
never too late.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and I just, I know some people that I've known for, you know, since, like, let's say high school, same town, same friend circle. And to me, the best thing I've ever done is I'm still in touch with every one of those people, but I, once I moved from where I grew up, I thought, well, this is pretty easy. And so I've moved a few times. I've made amazing friends along the way. And I have people in my friendship circle from fifth grade to last week.
Wow.
And and I really honor once I meet my people, I honor my friendships. I'm not going to say we talk every day, but when we do talk, it's like it was yesterday. And to me, those are my people.
Yeah, that's incredible. That says a lot about your character as a friend too, for sure.
Well, thank you. And I, you know, I just got, the reason I'm in Arizona, I live in South Carolina now, is I went to a wedding over the weekend in California, and I haven't seen a lot of those people. They're all my relatives for about 10 years. And that's far too long. But when I sat down with them, it was like it was yesterday. And those are the people I want. I mean, those are those heart-to-heart connections that I think you're looking to help people make. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you do have a very big heart. You know, we need more people like you that see the big picture, not, they don't have the glasses on, that tell people you can be who you want to be, no matter how old you are. I think that's absolutely amazing. So, Steve, as we're getting to the end of this, I want you to tell us where people can find you.
Oh, great question. I've got a website that's stevewormer.com, easy to find. I'm on social media. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube, LinkedIn. And you can certainly email me at booknow@stevewormer.com. And I'm pretty good about returning messages promptly. But I think that's about it.
And I think that's wonderful. And for our audience who is watching or will watch, it is my opinion, but we need more people like Steve. Steve wants to help. I can feel it in your voice. I can feel it in your heart. And we need people that just aren't working for the dollar. We need people that are working with the heart. And I think our heart is our true center. It's our connection to source. It's our connection to others. I feel like you have an amazing and a big heart.
Oh, you're very, very kind. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. You're very, very welcome. And it has been my honor to interview you. It's been my honor to meet you. And I, like you, I'm available if anyone has questions. But I want to thank you, Steve, for being on today, for being so open with everyone, for caring, and for just being you.
Thank you so much for having me on, Nicole. It's been a treasure.
Yeah, you are very, very welcome. And everyone, you will find this on our Changebook podcast on YouTube. Reach out to Steve. Please let him know you loved your interview. And we will see everybody next week. Thank you so much, Steve. Take care.
Bye-bye now.